Hi Claudia, so you've got another set of essays here for us. Wonderful. Let's take a look at what you wrote. Do the benefits of this outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, that we're becoming dependent. Fine. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether being connected through new technologies such as the internet or a phone has a negative impact on society or merely reduces traditional social life activities. This essay will discuss both sides using some examples from the Spanish government and Oxford University to demonstrate the disadvantages of internet dependency. Okay, great. So you did it rather indirectly, but it's still successful because we know your opinion. You think that the internet is this dependency has more disadvantages. So great. Okay, let's move on. There's ample evidence that technology is acquiring the attention of all the society. Okay. Acquiring is the wrong word here. You could say is capturing. Now that would make a collocation, capturing the attention. There were other verbs you could have used here too. If you're not sure what word goes with a verb, you can actually do a search for this on the internet. Some good collocation books have these, but sometimes it's easier just to see like collocation with attention. You can seriously just type that and see, what comes up. And then, not of all the society, but of all of society, or of the whole society. All right, so a couple different ways you could have done that. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, devices are intuitive, easy to manage. Hence, people from different ages can learn quickly to use them. Can quickly learn to use them. Or, I didn't understand this, are intuitive. What do you mean by that? That's it's as if the devices are intuitive. So, although I like that word a lot, I'm not sure it means what you think it means. All right, move on. For example, recent empirical research by the Spanish government demonstrates that the average of technological device. Oh, sorry, I missed a line. Secondly, everyone can access all kinds of information. Note 2. For example, recent empirical research by the Spanish government demonstrates that the average of technological devices per person is almost 3. This means that everybody has at least one phone. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that people are introducing technology as a new lifestyle. All right, now let's talk about the arguments here. You said that, first of all, here you said people can quickly learn to use them. So what are you actually proving here? We're talking about us becoming dependent on these devices. So you said that they're intuitive. I'm just trying to understand your logic and if it's actually answering the question. I don't think that does. You're telling me why people are using them, and you're saying that because they can learn to use them quickly. But that doesn't really explain to us the dependency. Do you know what I'm saying? The fact that I can learn to use it quickly doesn't explain to me why I may be becoming dependent on it and if that's beneficial or not. So I don't really feel like that's relevant. Now here, again, you're saying that the devices that people have are typically around 3. Therefore, it's becoming a new lifestyle. So what have you really proven here? You've simply proven that it's come into our life, and it comes into our life because they're easy. And then here you're saying that lots of people have them. So I don't really feel like either one of these arguments is answering the question, though. So what I want to advise you is, when you look at this, people are becoming dependent on the internet and phone. All right, what does that mean? Okay, that we use it all the time, that we need it to do lots of things. All right, we need it to do lots and lots of things, and we can't do those things without the internet and phone. All right, and so is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? That's what they're asking you. So think about the things that you or maybe people you know are dependent on the internet for. Okay, I think I can come up with a few things that it's so convenient, so you can do a lot of your banking by internet. All right, you can, pay for your bills and do lots of different transactions like that. A lot of people, myself included, shop online because they just don't have time or can't get to stores, even the supermarket. I mean, all right, and so without these devices and without these conveniences, they're lost. Okay, because think about how many people would then have to go to the bank to pay their bills or have to write checks or whatever. So this is a good thing. You could explain it as a good thing here because it really it simplifies people's lives. They don't have to, spend a lot of time that they might not have doing these mundane kind of things. All right, so those are some of the things you could have talked about here. All right, although there was a case for being... Now, look at this. You didn't even talk about this in the previous paragraph, so I don't know why you're mentioning it here. You wrote, although there is a case for being... the grammar is wrong. Let's try it one more time. Although there is a case for the internet creating a close connection between people who are not in the same place, it also generates distance between those who are close, such as family and friends. Now, why is this wrong? It's wrong because, like I said before, you never talked about this in the previous paragraph. So you can use this kind of construction when you are linking two contrasting paragraphs together, but you never actually talked about this. This doesn't create a link. This is almost okay, well, where did this come from? All right, so I want you to avoid this unless you use something that you've referred to before. So this is largely, get rid of A, because, no comma, many people use technologies instead of meeting, not among them, meeting others. For instance, recent studies from Oxford University, without the, have shown that since the technology era started, people have become less sociable and they are losing some social skills such as speaking in public or expression abilities. Due to this fact, birth rates, okay, are dramatically decreasing in terms of society. It generated the worst impact. Consequently, it is possible to state beyond doubt that the largest drawback of the dependency on the devices is the effect on the society. Okay. What's missing for me is your continuance of talking about how the devices have done this and how this is related to dependency on these devices. Okay, so you said many people use technologies instead of meeting. All right, let's see. All right, but here you talked about being less sociable. And I think what you needed to do instead is say that less sociable is not the way you want to go. You want to say that people are just dependent on their phones. They're on their phones all the time, and they would rather be on their phones in their own little world than talk to people. So it's this dependency that we need to focus on here. Okay, so let's move on to your conclusion. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that even technology has numerous no, it's even though. All right, because you're showing contrast here. Even though technology has numerous benefits, the dependency's impact might be reversible and it could worsen in the future. Therefore, people need to be conscious of the negative implications and break with this dependency. That's nice. There were some nice expressions here, so that was good. But I want you to remember the things we talked about in terms of task achievement and in terms of really just connecting this idea of dependency on these devices, what that means and how you can express that. The other thing I want to talk about is this benefits and disadvantages. That means that you have to mention two benefits. You did, all right? Here, though, I didn't really feel like you did talk about two disadvantages. you kind of did, but your big one really was just that we're not social anymore, and then you just really talked about what that means, that we're not social. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you said that we don't meet anymore. You said that we're less sociable, and the result of this is that we're not having babies anymore, and society is becoming very strange. So I guess that an examiner could give you the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, well, you did talk about more than one disadvantage, but I want you to think about that, because somebody else could interpret this that, well, you just talked about being less sociable. So, that's really just one disadvantage. It really just depends on the perspective of the examiner, I guess. So let's take a look at this task 1 here. All right, the pie chart illustrates the subject's election for German students in 2017, showing popularity and percentage of the 7 subjects. All right, that's fine, but this is really unclear, and it doesn't work in English. So let's try it a little differently. The pie chart illustrates the popularity in percentage of 7 subjects, all right, for German students in 2017. That's it. The key information stands out from a comparison of these different subjects. The key information that stands out from a comparison of these different subjects is that there were nearly a half of German students who preferred technical subjects more than social lessons. Get rid of the word social. It should be not S, I mean, it's social. But I don't even know what that means. We don't call them social lessons. So maybe you mean more liberal arts. I'm not really sure what you mean. Notwithstanding, there was 1 more lesson in the technical part than social. I don't understand that either. The technical was composed of maths, physics, biology, and IT. You could have just called them the sciences, okay? While history, PE, and geography was part of the social. All right, now, is this supposed to be your overview? Because if it is, there's a little too much information. You really, in your overview, remember, you're just talking about that main trend, okay? So, you could have done something considerably different here. I can't really read these. I think it's PE that's the most. Honestly, you could just do something really rather simple here. You could simply say that PE had the highest popularity, whereas IT had the least, and you're done. That's really it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. All right. It's just when you look at this, what's the main thing you see? All right. And that was one thing you could have said. Or you could have said that the highest popularity was found in PE and history. And again, you're done. You don't mention any data. You don't go into details. All right. You're just out of there. So let's move on. A closer examination of the figures, and in terms of technical lessons, maths and physics were the most popular subjects, with, get rid of A, with 19.5% and 18.1% respectively. Additionally, biology was almost double the figure for IT. All right, now, that doesn't really help us, because I don't know what the figure for biology is, and I don't know what the figure for IT is. So if you're going to use this kind of thing, it is helpful if you've at least mentioned the figure for one of those 2 subjects, okay? Now, another thing that would have been very helpful for is with your word count, because this is one of those where it's difficult to get up to 150 words. I already told you that I thought this was far too wordy, okay? So you needed to reduce that and really focus more on these details here, all right? You have to stretch out the details, and what I'm suggesting to you here is one way to do that. So regarding the social subjects, there was a noticeable difference between geography and PE, which it was almost a third the former than the latter. All right, grammatically that doesn't work at all. Again, you're not telling me what the figure is, so it's not helpful, okay? So there's a noticeable difference between geography and PE, where the former was almost a third of the latter. That's grammatically correct, but it doesn't tell us anything. It's telling us proportions, but it's not telling us what those numbers are, so we really have no idea what these figures are. Nevertheless, PE was on a part with history with a slightly difference of 0.5. All right, that doesn't work either grammatically. PE was on par, I think you mean, with history with a slight, without the ly, difference of 0.5. Now, do you know what's happening here, Claudia? You have given us very few figures. All right, you've given us only 2. Everything else you've just talked about where they are in proportion to each other. But obviously you had 7 subjects here. This is a kind of pie chart where you really should give us absolutely every single figure. It's so short that you need to do that. And you need to do what you did in some of this, you need to explain the difference in the proportions and how they differ from each other. But you actually have to give us that data, because I have no idea where any of these really are, except for the 19.5 and the 18.1. Okay, like for example, did you ever tell us anywhere that PE is the most popular subject? All right, that's a super important piece of information, and without that, you're really missing the point here. Okay, and the same, of course, for history. It's the most popular. Do we have any idea about IT, which had that tiny little sliver? No, not really, because the only thing you told us is that biology was double. So I have no idea what that means. That could mean that biology had, like, 30% and IT had 15%. So it's missing so much key information here. That's important to making this understandable. All right, because after reading your response, I couldn't visualize this data, and that's what you want your reader to do. You want to be able to explain it in such a way that they can imagine what you're looking at without actually having the pie chart in front of them. All right, so work on this a little bit for me, and we'll take a look at your next set of essays. Good luck.